everybody, what's going on? Your host AMF 1534 here with a fresh set of tires. Let's play some more Gran Turismo 2. And we also have an awesome, great big lead, which is going to make this all the easier going forward. Because we just went through a pit stop and we're not really looking any worse for the wear, so I'm pretty smitten by that whole set of events. And the Blazers just won. They've won like 5 out of their last 6 games, which is pretty sweet. I'm pretty happy about that. So at least one team isn't losing, and that's awesome. And I mean that in the sense of the only team that was actually losing was Oregon on Thursday. So other than that, it's really not that bad. I just need to get over myself. But let's get down to business here. So I actually learned something new over this weekend. I learned that I'm not very good at darts, which is weird. I mean, I haven't really played very much, but I learned that in the scope of my friends, I am not very good at darts. It's weird because I play a whole bunch of different sports that involve throwing things. Like, I play baseball and softball, which involves a lot of throwing there. I mean, I've never played football competitively, but you still obviously know how to throw a football, so that's another one. Basketball doesn't really involve throwing, not like that at least. And I know with darts, there's a certain way you're supposed to throw it. Like it's different than just hauling back and chucking the thing at the board. It's a much more delicate art than that. But so me and 4 other friends, we went to the bar on Saturday, I think it was, and we decided, hey, let's play some darts. Why not? Let's throw back a couple of cold ones and toss some pointy things at a cork board. And so we're playing whatever. I get to start it off because that doesn't put enough pressure on you to have to be like, oh, I gotta look like I'm good at this to start it off. And I wasn't doing that bad until it started being really bad. I was trying to get too pretty with it, I think is what was going on, because I'd sit there and I'd try to pinpoint where I'm throwing it, and it just wouldn't work at all. Half the times I wasn't throwing it hard enough either, because I'd throw it at the board, it would stick, and then it would just fall out. And I ended up in the first 2 games in a row, I finished last out of 5. And I'm talking, we had 2 girls in our group who had never played before either, and one of them is extremely uncoordinated. And she got second in one of those games. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? How am I doing so bad? I'm probably the most athletic and coordinated person that was playing in these games, and yet I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And so in the last game that we played, I decided, you know what? This is what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna start throwing it I'm just gonna start throwing it like I would a baseball and see what happens. And so I start off, and on my first one, I rear off and I just throw it, not as hard as I could, but I launched it pretty good. Just throwing it generally at the board, and the first thing that I got was a triple 20, which I'd been aiming at that little bastard for a while, and I couldn't hit it if I tried. And I just reared back and I tossed that thing pretty hard at that, and I just nailed it right on a triple 20, which is the highest scoring thing on the board. And then I threw it again, and I got the red bullseye, which isn't quite as good as the black one, but I still nailed that too. And then I got some other a single 8 or something, but I was like, interesting. And so I kept going, and I actually got sorry about that, I had to scratch my face. I actually ended up in 2nd place in that game, so it was fucking awesome. So that, my friends, it may be an unorthodox way to play, but I think that I have now unlocked the key of playing amateur darts just by throwing it hardcore. I ended up losing anyways because one of the other guys just decided that he was going to be the best darts player in the world all of a sudden, and he had 3 straight turns of just insanely good by amateur standards scores. And so I was just kind of pissed off or whatever that I lost all the games. And so I grabbed all 3 darts, and I held them in one hand, and I just threw them all at the board at once, just kind of fuck, I lost, and just kind of throwing them out of frustration, but not super pissed off. And I threw it, and they all landed in really good spots. One of them was a triple 18, One of them was like a double 7, and another one was like, it was like really, really close to a red bullseye. And I was like, holy shit, maybe I need to do this more often. And so I took them out and I like started experimenting just to see what would happen if I kept doing it. And like, I think like 7 out of the 9 throws that I did doing that, they were all like pretty respectable scores. And so I think what I need to do from this point on is just like, you know, when I go up to throw, just throw all my darts at once. Because it seemed like it worked out pretty well. I mean, maybe it's not a great idea. Maybe it's not, but I think we're going to go out on like Friday or Saturday again and do that. And I think it would be pretty awesome if I went out and I played that way and I ended up winning. I think that would be like the funniest thing ever, because everybody's going out there and they're, you know, trying to calculate their throws. And like, all right, I got to go for this one and this one and this one. And I just go out there, poof, like that. I'm going to toss this thing as hard as I can and end up beating them all. That would be the ultimate in your face type of thing. But it probably won't happen that way, let's be honest. But yeah, dude, I have like the worst headache right now. It's been driving me crazy all day today. I just recently transferred back down to my other store, so the place that I've been working for the last month, my schedule is going to change again. And so I went back to being at that store, which I love it, by the way, already. Oh boy, into the wall, into the wall. Okay, that's not that bad. But I went back there, and I actually had to make a delivery where I went all the way back up to the other store again. And so while I'm there, like getting all their paperwork and stuff, ooh, yeah, I just butt-rammed him. Woo! Oh, shit. Oh, I thought I was going to be able to, like, barricade him off or something. Not quite, though. But, I went up there, and while I'm in there, there was this lady that was looking at some of our, like, aromatherapy oils and stuff. And she grabbed, like the informational insert paper that tells what most of them do for, like, medicinal purposes and whatever. And she went to grab that, and she knocked a bottle of lavender oil off the top shelf. And it just fell on the ground and just exploded everywhere. And so, you know, she's like, oh my god, I made a big mess, blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, we're like, okay, well, don't worry, we'll clean it up, no big deal. And so we go and we clean it, and just like while we're cleaning it up, like the smell of all that lavender, like I love lavender. Let's not get it twisted. I'm one of the few guys in the world that actually likes the smell of lavender, but oh my god. Like there's only so much lavender one human body can take, because that was way too much. I went and I was grabbing something and I caught a whiff of it, and it was just like it invaded my brain like the Germans. It was all bad. And like my nostrils just like incinerated pretty much. It was like somebody threw like a Molotov cocktail of lavender oil and gasoline into my face. And I just like, I couldn't even handle it. It was so intense. I was just like, I need to get out of here. That's too much. Get me out of here, Jan. I can't take it all. And then we went and cleaned the floor, and we had to use like this orange oil solution for that, because it cuts through like the hard oil of like the lavender stuff really well, so that it doesn't like oxidize the floor. And so we cleaned up with that, and then like the smell got super weird, because it was lavender mixed with like this weird citrus type of cleaning solution stuff, and it was just like it was like more unbearable, just because it cut like the lavender smell out like to a decent extent, but then just having those two scents together made it to where like I just had like this awful association with it, and I just couldn't handle it for the life of me. It was not a very good experience. So I like ever since then. That was at like 2 o'clock today. That was like 7 hours ago, and I still have a pretty nasty headache about it. It was just not one of my finer moments. Oh boy, there we go. There we go. Good lord. I'm kind of having like this little back and forth thing going on with that Castrol NSX back there. He's been at least making this episode a little bit interesting for me, just because he's kind of giving me a little bit of like this rivalry going on. Mainly because I haven't been driving very clean in this race so far, or at least in this episode, this little stretch that we've been on. I've been kind of jumping all over the place in the dirt like this, Not intentionally to prove a point or anything, but it's just been kind of all over the place, and I've been trying to, you know, maintain this whole thing. Damn it. There we go. I think it's just because my tires are starting to wear out again, which is weird because we've only gone like 7 laps and this thing's already starting to wear down. Oh well, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. This is definitely not gonna be as clean of a run as like my San Francisco Rush runs get, which I totally intend on playing that game not too long from now. I mean, I gotta take a little bit of a break from racing games after I get done with this series, just because it's been quite the long haul. But I do really want to do the Rush games. Like, that is without a doubt in my mind my absolute favorite racing game series. It's probably one of the least realistic ones in a certain sense, but it is absolutely the most fun in my mind. I mean, Cruis'n USA is up there. The Gran Turismo games are certainly up there. But the Rush games for me, oh man, you can't beat that. I mean, it's been like my favorite thing ever since I was little. I remember the first time I ever played it was on I got it as a birthday present, actually. I just wanted it because I had seen it in, like, I think I saw it in one of the Nintendo Power magazines or like one of the Game Pro magazines. And I saw what it looked like, and I think I'd actually seen some people in the arcade play it when I was younger. And I was like, oh dude, I really want to get that. And so I had played it a couple of times in the arcade, and then I actually got it on Nintendo 64 as a birthday present. And that was the balls right there. That was what I was super excited about it, and then it was all just gravy from there. It really was. I also have a text message that I need to read at some point, but I can't do that while driving because I would end up getting arrested. Not arrested. You can't get arrested for that. But I would get a very, very expensive ticket that, you know, a policeman. Like, what if you could get actual tickets in real life for stuff that you did in driving games? That'd be so stupid. There would never be driving games ever again. First of all, just because nobody would want to risk getting an actual like real life ticket because of something they did in a game, which would also force game developers to be like, all right guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make a game that encompasses all of the most interesting things about regular driving, about driving 35 miles an hour in business districts, and when you're driving through a neighborhood, instead of running all the children over and flipping them off and shooting them with Uzis, we're going to drive a very modest 20 miles an hour. And if a school bus is passing by, you must stop if it has its lights on. Otherwise, you will get a very hefty ticket. And when you go somewhere, when you park your car outside, you actually have to put your own physical money inside of the game cartridge to pay for your parking. Otherwise, a meter maid will come by and you will have to pay a fine to the state, because we don't already make enough money or anything. We just want to find another way that we can exploit your cash, because we're a bunch of pee-drinking crap faces. Like, that is totally what they would that's what they would do. It wouldn't surprise me if one of these days the government, because they're trying to control everything already, wants to be like, you know, we don't want games to be violent anymore, and things are just getting way too dangerous nowadays, and all these driving games where people are just driving through towns and breaking all the laws and running people over. We want to make games. We want all the game developers to make games that just don't let you do that. They just don't let you do that. They encourage you not to do that. Otherwise, if you're going to do it, then we're going to penalize you with real life monetary penalties that you have to pay. So you guys can just suck on that, because we hate everybody. I'm gonna do one more lap here, just because I want to get it at that nice little 53 action here. Plus, I mean, we're only at about 14 and a half minutes, so we got a little more time on our hands. P.S. What did you guys think of the Amnesia Machine for Pigs finale that I put up the other day? It's pretty exciting. I wasn't really expecting it to go that way, but I really, really enjoyed that game. Actually, a lot more than I think I was planning on. I think that I was kind of expecting one of those kind of sequel sophomore letdowns with it, but not like a huge one. I'm not talking like, you know, I can't really think of a good example of that per se, but I wasn't expecting it to be like bad. I just wasn't expecting it to be like not really in the same conversation of being as good as the original Amnesia, but it was really, really good. Like, I think that it may have been at least equal, but probably, I wouldn't say better. It definitely wasn't better than the first one for me, just because there was a lot less, like, there wasn't as much, like, interaction going on. It was a lot more just, like, walking around and exploring things, which is cool, but I love how the first game really kind of utilized more of an inventory system. I love when games can do that and make it effective, and I think that, like, I'm kind of, like, to an extent, I'm glad that A Machine for Pigs didn't do that, just because I think that the way that the game in general was built, I don't think that you really needed to do that. I know that I'm actually going further than what I was just talking about, by the way, but I was starting talking about something. So, I don't know, they were different games, and I'm glad they did that, but I think that I still like the original Amnesia more, kind of because of the fact that it had that inventory-based idea, and there was a lot more confrontation with enemies, and I don't know, I think there were a lot more plot twists in it, but not to knock on this new one at all, because it was incredible the way that they kind of made use of more of like a simple storyline to an extent. It was super, super good. I love when they can take kind of a simple concept like that of you just kind of searching and looking for somebody, and, you know, having not just like an insanely large amount of things happen and still make it be effective with the storyline that you set up. I think they did a really good job of not trying to do too much with it. They made it like the perfect amount of effectiveness. Alright guys, well, we haven't had time for this episode, so when we come back on the next installment of Let's Play Gran Turismo 2, we are going to knock out some more laps in here. We're finally past the halfway point of this race, and I'm excited to see what the next one holds, because we're obviously not in any danger of losing the lead here. We have a very, very significant lead. So we're kind of just cruising from this point on. So until then, this is your host, AMF1534, saying thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. I'm going to go watch The Blacklist. Bye, guys.